Brought to you by...
In every horror film, there is a goal to build enough atmosphere to sell the terror of what the characters are experiencing. However, it wasn't until recently that the focus of many films began to shift and dial in on this atmosphere as the centerpiece of the narrative experience. Today, atmospheric horror is one of the leading forms of the genre, taking critical acclaim in such films as Hereditary, Midsommar, or even Get Out. This choice to gradually envelop the audience in horror rather than hit us with cheap thrills has created a variety of truly haunting experiences that beg the question, have we been doing it all wrong for all these years? Hello friends, and welcome back to ETF. We find ourselves today on a secluded farm in a nondescript rural town, where a man lays slowly dying. His family gathers to mourn, soon finding a darkness growing upon the land like a cancer, marked each passing day by waking nightmares, and a growing sense that something inherently evil is slowly taking over the family. Two siblings are forced to face something truly dark and wicked. This film was unfortunately one of many to suffer the effects of the Empire. And if you haven't guessed by now, the Empire is my name for the pandemic. It had its world premiere at the Fantasia International Film Festival in August of 2020. It was originally acquired by RLJE Films, and was originally set to release worldwide November 6, 2020. However, the festival was cancelled due to the pandemic. Though I feel that this narrative is very fitting to emerge during a year when the entire world can understand the effects of a plague upon everything they hold dear, in the same way that the characters in this film do. The opening moments of this film introduce us to the isolation of this particular story, as we find an ailing woman kept company by the goats she tends to, and her husband's withering, bedridden form. Here in the dark terrain of a sprawling, secluded landscape is where we find the horrors of something unwanted and unimaginable descending upon her once peaceful life. At first, I assumed that these opening moments would be nothing more than a pre-title stinger, a first victim sort of scenario. But it quickly became clear that this was more. We were being introduced to one of our central characters, the setting in which this dark tale would take place, and the early stages of a nightmare that they will never be able to wake from. The cinematography does wonders to capture the cold, oppressing isolation of this film's setting, providing us with long, wide frames of this cold, empty landscape. The house standing in solitude among windy fields. No life passes through the frames. Not a bird in the sky or a rodent in the field. This film utilizes some very old-fashioned techniques throughout. Long, drawn-out tracking shots and pans that emphasize the tension of each moment, revealing to us as the audience things that the characters aren't seeing, and building the suspense of the horror that is befalling them. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. The lighting throughout the film emphasizes the darkness in these characters' lives, maintaining cold, crushing shadows throughout the house, even in the warm light of day. Every shot in this film feels perfectly composed to yield the most dread. This isn't a film that aims to startle us at every turn with frightening visuals. It's one that instead chooses to allow the nightmares to form within our own minds, drawing out each shot and lingering uncomfortably long in order to allow us to wonder what is lurking in those shadows at the edge of each frame. The film is paced out into days, much the way Kubrick's The Shining was, dragging out the tension of what is occurring over a course of time that is undetermined to us. This pace remains slow and gradual, even when moments ramp up with rapid edits and violence. The film's score is heavily string-oriented. It drags the bow along the strings like it's relishing in the pain of each moment. This creates an overwhelming discomfort throughout every scene, surrounding our characters in a harsh sensation of agony, doubt, and hopelessness. It's a haunting composure that envelops you as the viewers, bringing you toward the very emotional core that these characters revolve around. The performances here are delivered by fresh, unfamiliar faces, something Shudder is really great at maintaining. Each character carries with them the weight of pain and family trauma. There's clearly strain between all of them. These characters who are burdened with a life they never wanted, and have likely done what they could to escape it. I immediately got the sense of some form of betrayal or feelings of abandonment that was left unspoken of. These feelings are themes carried throughout the piece as the evil that threatens them slowly drives a wedge between our characters. The longer they stay within this place, the more tormented and infected by the presence that dwells here they become, inheriting the very curse that claimed their mother, making this family like livestock to the slaughter. These themes of abandonment and betrayal come full circle when the brother abandons Louise and returns home to his family. We are shown that the reach of the evil's trickery has infected his life beyond the point of return to his normalcy. It has taken everything from him in the most horrific of ways, leaving him no choice but to end his own torment to be free of it. To me, the character of the nurse existed throughout the film as an embodiment of belief, as the presence of a higher power, the hope of redemption and salvation from wickedness, while ironically, the preacher is the form the devil has chosen. The nurse returns throughout the film again and again to remind our characters that no matter how hopeless and lost they may feel, they cannot give themselves to the dark and the wicked that surrounds them. In ways, she almost urges them to stick by their father, even throughout this torment. They are the last defenders against the evil, the only thing keeping it at bay. For if they leave him alone, the devil will surely take him. We see that her good, however, is no match for the evil, as she too is corrupted by it and driven to a gruesome end. We are introduced to the priest soon after the horrors begin to emerge. Each time he appears, he shows up like the devil on the doorstep, tempting them toward the same fate as their mother suffered. The evil surely takes this form as a torment upon them, a faithful face that will trick them into inviting it in, and an insult to God himself. First he arrives at the property line, then at their very door, each time getting closer to his ultimate goal. The first time they brought him back to the house, in essence inviting him into their lives, to wreak more havoc than he already has. Later it arrives at their door once more in a more innocent form, once they have seen through the masquerade of its facade, and yet again Louise falls for the same old tricks. Through the mother's diary, we gain a sense that this threat has lingered here for some time, slowly working away at this family, trying desperately to claim them. Death surrounds this family, and this place, as depicted not by their father clinging to life in this bed, but adorning the walls and decor of the home in the form of preserved bone, looming over our characters at every moment. The events of this narrative push our characters to the very edge of their breaking points, placing the sanctity of their sanity in the crossfire. The devil's whispers drive them even closer to madness, paranoia, and giving in to the fear that reaps upon them. In the end, Louise fights to free herself from evil's grasp, only to be lured back into her grief, unable to let go of the only family she has left, choosing to stand by him as his watchful protector, refusing to let him pass alone, even if it means sealing that very fate for herself. For the worst fate a person can have is to die alone. Hey friends, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this analysis of The Dark and the Wicked. If you have Shudder, I can't recommend this one enough. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you aren't already, click the bell to be notified on all my future videos. If you want to show this channel a little bit of support, then come see us on Patreon, where you can get yourself some fun rewards, including some new exclusive content just for patrons. Until next time, stay safe, keep embracing film, and thanks for watching.